Now to story number 7 on our countdown. Votes count. A marathon voting session in the Senate ending in the early morning hours, resulting with the Senate passing the budget resolution and sending it to the House. Here's Senator Mike Lee.
Okay, so it was about 3 a.m. We just finished voting in the Senate. We were in a many hours long vote-a-rama session. We just passed a budget resolution. This thing's not perfect. It's not a document that becomes law. It is an internal document that sets the parameters for spending and, more importantly, tees up what's called budget reconciliation, a process by which we're going to extend the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions that are set to expire later this year.
For what all of this means for the MAGA agenda and most importantly for our economy, let's bring in our political experts for today. Republican strategist Katie Frost, also with us, White House correspondent for the Daily Signal, Elizabeth Mitchell. Ladies, Katie, let's start with you first. Do you think this budget resolution will pass in the House? And you just heard Mike Lee there say that this isn't perfect, but it needed to be done.
Well, it's great to be with you again, Lydia. I do agree with Senator Lee. He happens to be my favorite U.S. senator, and it's not perfect. But if you look at what the House passed back in February versus what we saw come out of the Senate, the House said they wanted $1.5 to $2 trillion in cuts. And then the Senate's version, they said, yeah, we agree with you that we need $1.5 trillion in cuts. Except 1.496 trillion of that, they only want to cut $4 billion. And this is the kind of result you get when your swing votes and the people you're having to negotiate with are Lisa Murkowski and Mitch McConnell instead of the House Freedom Caucus. So I hope we will see a final version much closer to what the House was doing, because they were looking at serious cuts, because ultimately that is what we're going to need to do to reduce the deficit.
Meantime, you had Democrats pulling off stunts, right? Elizabeth, let's go to Senator Cory Booker in New Jersey, wasting everyone's time. I don't even want to do this story, but we have to talk about it because this is what he wants. He wants this attention. He broke the floor speech record. Here's Chuck Schumer congratulating him.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
Congratulations for wasting everyone's time. Meanwhile, look what's happening in New Jersey, sky-high taxes, crime, you name it, and he's filibustering on the Senate floor there. Your thoughts, Elizabeth?
Chuck Schumer might be proud, but I think he is wrong to speak for all of America to say that they are proud. I think voters said what they care about most in November. It's the border security, safety, the economy, these type of things. They do not care about political stunts like what we see before us on the Senate floor. I think that he accomplished nothing for anyone in America, even for people in his party, by standing up there for hours and hours complaining about Trump. And it's just the kind of political stunt that gets us nowhere.
Katie, let's talk about President Trump and all the tariff and Elon Musk backlash that they're both getting. I know President Trump, he's not running for another term, at least not that we know of. But is this going to hurt him politically? Because if you look at the other media outlets, the left wing, they're painting this as such a doomsday. Everything's going to be more expensive. You won't be able to afford your iPhone, this, that, you name it. And President Trump is simply saying, trust the process. I want to make America wealthy again, independent again, because we are dependent on our adversaries like China for everything, including our own medicine. China makes the materials, the components for most of our generic medicines here in the United States. So what do you think politically? Can Trump, can Elon, can Republicans, can they survive this whole tariff hysteria?
Well, hysteria is a good word because people are being whipped up into hysteria over something they're not 100% sure what the actual process is going to look like and what the end result will be. I will say, underestimate Donald Trump at your own peril. This is a man who has defied expectations time and time again. And if you're President Trump, this is the time you try your boldest moves. He has the highest approval rating he's ever experienced. The Democrat approval rating is absolutely in the basement. He's, twice and 3 times, depending on the polling you look at, more popular than the Democrats in Congress. For the first time in over 20 years, more people, according to Rasmussen polling, think that America is going in the right direction as opposed to the wrong direction. So if you're going to swing for the fences, now is the time to do it. That's why we're seeing him roll out this bold strategy. But it's not a surprise to anyone. It's not like he's doing a bait and switch on us. He was very clear that this is the kind of policy he was going to put in place when he was elected, and the American people gave him the mandate to do it. Now it's time to watch and hopefully see the results.
And thank God we have such a strong leader now on the world stage. Kamala Harris, how close did we come to possibly her becoming the next president of the United States? And now there's a new book coming out, Elizabeth, says that Harris was completely shocked by defeat, believes she could have won with more time, that according to this book that she said, what, do we need to ask for a recount? Elizabeth, what do you think about that? She was shocked that she bought into her own hype. She actually thought she was going to be the president of the United States.
That is not too surprising to hear. I think that if you flash back to that supposed hopeful victory party at Howard University on election night, it started off with a lot of energy, a lot of young people there ready to celebrate Kamala Harris, the first woman president. And then it became very clear as the night went on that she was not going to win, and people seemed pretty shocked at that watch party, according to what we saw on TV, and slowly filtered out, and the energy really just died. So I think that a lot of Democrats did expect a win from her, but ultimately that was just unrealistic, especially considering she was never chosen by voters to be the nominee in the first place.
Right. The Nancy Pelosi, she staged the coup, and poor Joe got woken up from his nap in the middle of the day to be told that he wasn't running for president anymore. Katie, final 30 seconds to you. AOC, there's a poll that came out that said if AOC were to challenge Chuck Schumer, that she would win, that she would beat him. Even our political analyst, Mark Halperin, he's been saying the same thing. What do you think about AOC and Jasmine Crockett? They're now the darlings of the Democrat Party.
They are, and as a Republican strategist, I would like to thank the Democratic Party for their in-kind contribution to the Republican Party of having Jasmine Crockett and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being the face of their movement. They are on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue right now facing America, and having them at the forefront just continues to remind people of how radical and extreme the Democratic Party has become. When Chuck Schumer is considered the moderating voice, you've completely lost it. And so, every time Congresswoman Crockett opens her mouth, whether it's calling Governor Abbott of Texas Governor Hot Wheels, which I found personally offensive because my uncle is a personal friend of Governor Abbott and was running with him the day he was paralyzed. This is the kind of stuff she does every time she goes out on the stage. So I say, bring it on. Please continue to put them out there.
When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Katie Frost, Elizabeth Mitchell, thank you both.
Thank you,
Lydia.